What up gamers, I'm Jason and today on Dice & Dragons, I will be teaching you how to play Fast and Furious Highway Heist. This is published by Funko Games and designed by Prospero Hall. It is a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players and plays in about 60 minutes, roughly 15 minutes per player. In this game, you will be taking on the roles of your favorite members of the Fast family, Team Toretto, Brian O'Connor, Letty Ortiz. I don't know if it's Mia. Well, Mia's in it. I wish she was in it in the game. Han Solo. You'll have Tej Parker as well as Roman Pierce. This game is based on Fast 6 and Fast 7. So you'll be going through some of the scenarios from those films, such as the chopper chase with Ramsey, taking out a tank, or having to hijack some some material that you need from a semi. It is pretty cool, I must say, and definitely captures the spirit of the Fast and the Furious game. You're driving your fast cars, either some American muscle, an import racer, a street drifter, or an exotic sports car, and doing some crazy, almost super heroic feats from like leaping from car to car and fighting on top of cars, just like you would in the Fast and Furious films. With that being said, let's get to our how to play. Now I'm going to teach you how to set up Fast and Furious Highway Heist. We're going to be setting up the tank assault scenario, as you can see with the cards that we have. The scenario set up for the tank assault is on the back of the scenario. You've got all the other instructions that you need for the scenario on the front half. Now you do also have a scenario guide for tank assault, but it's really quite small with just some more clarifications about the tank as the enemy vehicle, because all of the setup instructions are included in the rule book, as this is the starting scenario. With regards to the semi-heist and the chopper takedown, you do have full scenario guides, as you can see here. Now we have selected our players. We're of course going to go with Team Toretto and Brian O'Connor. Each player has their car, but they need to take their pegs that we'll be using and place them in their vehicles. We'll then add the American muscle car and the import racer to the board. Now we can move those along as we get the tank set up as well. The tank will be starting in the middle. I flipped it over earlier, but we'll just flip it back over so that everyone can see. You will then set up 4 enemy SUVs. And 2 of them have enemy pegs on them, meaning that we already have enemies in play. You will need the underlight tokens. These are for enemy SUVs if you happen to hijack them. So they'll be just with our players off camera. We've got our dice. I almost forgot this. We need to have the enemy die. We have our pool of other enemy SUVs as well as enemy pegs. This is a 2-player setup that we're doing. So we need to place the health at 8 for the tank. Each player will start with 2 boost tokens. And we pretty much have our board and our players set up. We then just need to shuffle the enemy deck and then prepare the stunt deck, and we are ready to start playing this scenario. So with regards to the stunt deck, what you're going to do is shuffle the level 1 stunts and then return one of them to the box. You'll do the same for the level 2 stunts and return one of them to the box. This is the setup that is required for standard difficulty. And we're just about ready to go. To start the first round, we're going to need to set up our first stunt. We place boost tokens on the stunt, which tells us how many times that we can do it. And we are now ready to play the game. So as you can see, nice, straightforward setup. Don't forget to take out your reference guide. It can be very useful. And now I'm going to teach you how to play the game. Now I'm going to teach you how to play Fast and Furious Highway Heist. We're going to start by going through all of the different actions that you can take during your turn, and then we'll take a quick break and actually do a partial playthrough of the game. Now, I've moved my cars around a little bit. I was just looking at what we've got for a stunt and thinking about strategy. So I think that'll be where they want to start, but I might change my mind after I teach you these actions. So we'll be using Dominic to show you what you're going to do. So on your turn, you may take up to 2 actions. The first action is drive, which lets you move up to your speed. Dominic's speed is 3, and with the American muscle car, he gets an extra 2, so he can move up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to move your full speed. You can move lower than that. You can also move in any direction that you want. Now, the next ability is leap. You can leap from your car onto another vehicle, and you'll be able to leap as many distance. The distance will be based on your athletics. Dom has an athletics of 2, so he can leap up to 2 spaces. So for example, let's say we were trying to, brawl that guy off the SUV for some reason. Not the smartest thing that you want to do, but you can. I can move up there and take the leap action to leap onto his car. Now, we're going to skip over the force and shake actions. We'll come back to them. We've got the brawl action. So what you do is you take the 2 dice, you roll. You need to get 2 successes. In this case, we only got 1, the green dot. We could spend a boost token, which then turns those into successes. And when you're brawling someone on top of a vehicle, you throw the enemy peg off, and they go back into the supply. Now we'll take a look at the shake action next, but I want to talk about specifically how you're going to get back into your car. Well, at the end of every turn, when things stop moving, your car does start dropping back when there's no one in it, but you can take a leap action to leap from where you are directly back into your car, and you're driving it. Now, for example, if an enemy peg does trigger though and throws you, you may be thrown onto your car, and then you have to take a leap action on your turn to get back in it. We have the shake action. So if an enemy is on top of your car, you roll your control, which is pretty bad for Dom. But at that point, I actually got the 2, because that's what you need to shake the enemy off of you and then return them to the supply. Now you may ram an enemy SUV. To do that, you go based on your speed. Dom's speed is 5, so we would roll 5. We would need 3 successes. When you ram an enemy SUV, they then turn into a wreck. Enemy pegs will then leap to the nearest adjacent player vehicle, so they're going to jump on your car. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is that at the end of the turn, as I said, end of the round, your car will drop back. The same thing happens for wrecks. However, if a wreck hits your car, it is destroyed and removed. A wreck will move back 4 spaces at the end of the turn. So if you want to ram the guy, you got to be in an adjacent space. Don't be there if this is the guy that you want to ram. Now, another option that we have is the hijacking of the enemy SUV. So let's say your player car has been destroyed. You're on top of the SUV. You can hijack it by making an athletics check. You need to get 2. So let's see if Dom can hijack this thing. In this case, we wouldn't get it. So we'll just roll again. At that point, we'd have to spend a boost token. We hijack the enemy SUV. We take the underlight token, so everyone knows that we are now driving the SUV, and you flip your player board over. Now, if we decide to hijack an SUV while your car is still in play, it's just going to drop back and fall away. You cannot get back into your car once you've hijacked an enemy SUV. So those are all of the actions that you can take on your turn. You will be able to take 2 actions, and then you must roll the enemy die. We'll take a look at the different results. So if you roll the enemy die, and you get this symbol, it means that the player pegs are either going to brawl try to damage your car, and you can take a look at the reference sheet here. So it'll tell you each enemy plague either damages a player vehicle, deals 2 damage, you will roll defense. So in this case, we'd roll 4 defense, or take the 2 damage. We've got 2 successes blocking all of the damage. It could brawl a player peg. So if, here's one of the other pegs here, like, this peg here could brawl you off the vehicle and throw you onto the nearest adjacent vehicle. Or if they're on an SUV, they jump off onto your vehicle. Now the other result would be the SUV one, and it says each enemy SUV either slams into an adjacent player, dealing 3 damage. Then you must once again roll your defense. Or there are no enemy SUVs on the road. You'd place an enemy SUV directly behind each player vehicle. So if, for example, there were no SUVs, we'll just pretend Brian's like so, you put the enemy there. Otherwise, the SUVs would move 1 space toward the active player. So, for example, it could move like this towards the active player. Now, the other symbols would maybe have the boss, your objectives move. So this says north. You'd also draw an enemy card. The other one says move south. Draw an enemy card. You also have the symbol to just draw an enemy card. When that happens, you will draw a card, and you would go through what you need to do. So place an enemy peg on top of the tank. You follow the rules for the tank firing. This explains how the tank fires. So each player vehicle within 3 spaces of the tank but not adjacent is dealt 3 damage. Blockers, you then must place an enemy vehicle directly in front of each player. Now what will happen is as you draw enemy cards, these cards move down the line, and when they get to this 3rd spot here, you would then activate this. So if an enemy peg is on top of the tank, it would raise the tank's strength by 2. So that's how the enemy deck works and the enemies. And I did neglect to mention an action that you can take. It's the last action on here, and it happens very rarely. You may take a boost token, but only as your final action. You can't be out of boost, take 1, and then play your turn. It does not work like that. So there you have it. These are all the different actions that you can take in Fast and Furious Highway Heist. Now, each player is going to go through the take up to 2 actions and roll the enemy die. Lastly, we've got the end of round sequence, which explains as you move any SUVs west 4 spaces. If a main enemy hits a wreck, you have to see what happens on the scenario if they end up running into wrecks. All unmanned player vehicles move 1 space west. Also, you move the stunts down and we'll draw a new stunt card. So those are the actions that you're going to be taking in that phase. You got ideas of what we will be doing during the turns. Now let's take you through some example turns as we teach you how to play the game. Now let's play some Fast and Furious Highway Heist. We need to damage the tank, and we got to do a lot of damage to it. So the way we do that is with the special rules here. We've got the tank damage. So whenever the tank hits a wreck or has a wreck land on it, remove the wreck and the tank takes 1 damage. When the tank's strength moves off the board, we win. So whenever the enemy die causes the tank to move north or south, it moves into a space with a vehicle. That vehicle is pushed 1 space in the same direction. If it's a player vehicle, you will take damage, meaning we really do not want to end anywhere near the tank. Now, if we're looking at the die, there is some good chance that the tanks may move, but we either want to do a brake slam right now into a character, not an enemy SUV, to set this off. We can do this twice, and it'll deal 1 damage to the enemy SUV, to the enemy tank, and also get rid of the SUV. Right now, we don't have anyone that is quite in that position. In order to do that, we'd have to really try to maybe even get in front, which is fairly difficult, but I don't know, we've got to be behind the tank. So we don't have a good position to brake slam at all right now, besides trying to push the vehicles. Now, I do have my special ability, American Muscle. Whenever you successfully ram an enemy SUV, you may move it, but it's already wrecked. And Brian gets an extra movement. So we really want to try to push people into the right positions, but it's got to be in the same straight line if we're doing a force. So because we can move them 2 spaces along any unobstructed path. So it has to be a path. We can't go like, for example, we got to push them in 2 directions. So I think our best bet right now is probably going to be to take down some of these enemy SUVs and potentially push them into locations where the tank can't smash into them. Now, we do not have good control with Dom. We've got good control with Brian, meaning that Brian's going to go first and go after this guy. So I get my free movement because of the import racer. I'm going to move 1, 2, 3. So that is my first action. I'm then going to try to ram the SUV. Don't worry, Dom gets to go, so he's not going to run into a wreck. Speed is 4. I get 2, so not quite enough. I want to make sure this is successful. I'll convert these into successes, so I'm good to go. We then ram the enemy SUV. It's now a wreck, but that guy jumps onto my car. I then must roll the enemy die. And we draw an enemy card. Nothing else happened. So we'll draw. We'll see what is going to go. So move the tank 2 spaces north. Each red it hits is removed and deals 1 damage to the tank. That's would have been nice to have happen. Each enemy SUV the tank hits is placed in the nearest empty space. Each player vehicle the tank hits is placed in the nearest empty space and dealt 4 damage. Place an enemy peg on top of each enemy SUV. So the enemy SUVs all get enemy pegs on them now. And that is the end of Brian's turn. But unfortunately, we didn't hit a wreck. Man, it's a good chance he's going to go south now. Probably not fast enough. So let's see what we can do. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to wreck this guy with Dom. We don't have much of a choice. Speed is 5. We get our successes. So this guy's going to leap off onto Dom's car. We wreck the SUV, and I can use my power to push it into any adjacent space. So, I should have been here because I want to push it up. Just in case we roll the die and gets a tank coming south. Well, maybe we will get the tank going south. So in this case, 1. So place an enemy peg on top of the tank. The tank fires each player vehicle within 3 spaces of the tank. So 1, 2, 3. So Dom is outside of it, but Brian definitely is dealt 3 damage. Then place an enemy vehicle in front of each player. You got the peg on top of the tank. Brian must roll defense, which unfortunately with the import racer is only 1. So we're take 3 damage here, so that's not good. 1, 2, 3. Now we have to go through the end of round. The wreck moves back 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Leapfrog slides back, and we reveal another stunt. Maybe this one will be a little easier. This one also moves back 1, 2, 3, 4. So your manned player vehicle and 2 or more manned enemy SUVs are in a straight line in any direction. So got to be a straight line in any direction. Well, luckily we can actually pull this off. And Brian gets to move 1. And that's just pretty cool because we can move here. So now we're in a straight line. This example here is diagonally, but we are now in a straight line. So we can definitely wreck some stuff. So we're going to go ahead and try to pull out the chain reaction with my speed, which is 4. Oh, see, it's tossed 2 spaces in any direction. So the chain reaction it's a good move, but it's not ideal because it's not going to hit the tank quite yet. We're going to need some help from Dom to make some stuff happen here. All right, well, I'm not getting the guy off of me. I can try the shake, but it's pretty much not good. So the first action Dom's going to do is play force, which is my control, but I can't actually force him in the direction. My control is very, very little. So it looks like Brian's going to have to go for the setup. So Brian's going to try to force the enemy SUV. So we're going to move. We're going to force the enemy SUV there because see what we can do. Right here. Get the success and move 1, 2. All right. So that was our turn. Roll the enemy die. So we get the pegs are going to try to damage the cars. So we roll defense. So actually, I should need to roll 2 more. So we're successful for Dom. I roll for the impact racer. We actually get the 2. We're in good shape. So it's Dom's turn. I'll move up. I'm going to go for the chain reaction here. Based on our speed. And we don't quite get it, but we've got the boost token. So we get it. So this turns into a wreck. Lands on the tank. I like dropping it on the tank. It goes just like in the movies. So the tank takes 1 damage. The wreck is removed. So we have done 1 damage to the tank. Then need to roll the dice. These guys are going to fight us again. Or try to jump onto our cars, but they're so far away. They're not going to make it, so we'll have to roll defense. Once again, we'll roll for Brian. Brian's going to take another 2 damage. He's got to get that pig off of his car. Roll for Dom, and at this point, Dom will just take the 2 damage, keep the boost tokens. He actually does have... Actually, you know what? We got the boost token from the chain reaction. I hadn't removed it. Once the stunts are completed, they are removed. So might as well spend it so we don't take any damage, actually. So now we go through the end of round. These wrecks move off the board. Stunts always slide 1 west. Reveal the next stunt, and then we will continue. So clothesline is pretty cool. Your man player vehicle is directly besides an enemy SUV, and another player vehicle is on the other side. So we can flip that tank on there, but we also want to try to get that guy off because he's going to heal the tank potentially. But as we're just teaching you the game, we're going to just do the fun stuff here. So we're going to try to do the clothesline, and this will be the last round that I'm playing. Also, Brian's got the best control, so he really will need to do this. So with a control of 3, we've got 4. Got the successes. So we flip the enemy SUV. Lands on the tank. Takes another damage. And gain the boost token. Clearing the stunt. Roll the enemy die. Enemy SUVs move 1 space towards the active player. So on Dom's turn here, no, unfortunately we're not going to be directly behind the tank. I'd love to do that. We got to smash some people, or we're gonna have some fun here. Brian's vehicle is in tough shape. We're going to take the leap action. So leap onto Brian's vehicle and we'll brawl that guy off. Oof, terrible roll. Use the boost token. Pitch the peg out of there. Roll the enemy die. And then move 1 towards us. We then go through the end of round actions. The car drops back. Reveal new stunt. And the gameplay will continue until we've completed our objective there, or we complete the final stunt over the edge, which will let us, had it sideways, sorry, which will let us win the game. So to do that, we got to meet these conditions to send the tank over the edge. So got to like really push it off. We're almost there at the north, but we got a few more turns to go. This acts as the timer for the game and keeps everything moving. Now, if Dom wanted to get back into his car, which is probably a good thing to do, he could do it at the start of his turn, or even, leap back onto the car and brawl the guy off and then get back into it later on so that you don't lose your player vehicle. So just an example of what you can do. I hope you enjoy this how to play for Fast and Furious Highway Heist. Now keep it right here as I'll be coming back at you with a quick outro. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you like what you saw, don't forget to click that like button, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. Also, down below in the video description, there are links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you would like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Fast and Furious Highway Heist, check out those feeds. Also down below in the video description, there is our link to multizone.ca. Click that link, get 10% off your next purchase, and a portion of that purchase will be returned to us, so it's a great way for you to support the channel. And now popping up in front of me are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. Over here will be our most recent release, and over here will be our review of Fast and Furious Highway Heist. Now, if it's not available right away, it will be there shortly. Until then, there will be a placeholder video. And with that being said, don't forget, keep playing games.